Hey, welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you what my day looked like as a Cirque du Soleil performer. My name is Gelsey Laurie, and I performed with Cirque du Soleil at the Beatles' Love Show for 3 years as the solo straps act. What a dream come true. So surreal. Also, Beatles' Love Show at the Mirage. R.I.P. Ugh, what a legend. If this is your first time here at my channel, welcome. Here, I look at the ins and outs of the entertainment world and give you a peek behind that curtain to show you what our lives are really like. Now, back to my day-to-day in Cirque du Soleil. That rhymes. I'm a poet and I don't know it. If you've ever seen a Cirque du Soleil show and wondered, I wonder what all these people's lives are like, I'm about to let you know. The Beatles' Love Show was at the Mirage Casino, so it was a Las Vegas resident show. These shows are going to be different than the touring big top shows that you may have seen come through your town. We would perform 10 shows a week. That's right, 10. Sometimes there were weeks that they would add a show. I'm not joking. Like 6-day weeks were rough. But we would work 5 days a week, 2 shows a night. And believe it or not, I didn't just sleep all day until the show. As you could imagine, us Cirque folk are quite active. I would start my morning off the way that most humans in America do. A cup of coffee. I would crawl out of bed around 10 a.m. and make myself that cup of coffee, sit with my laptop, check emails, do any work I had to do, kind of clean up my apartment, make my breakfast. After this, I would change into workout clothes and go to either a session I had booked or a class I had booked. Through my 3 years there, I had a personal trainer at a gym, I took Krav Maga classes, and at the end I started training with a wushu coach. After one of these classes, whatever crazy thing I was into at the time, I'd go home, shower, make lunch, and pack up for work. Once I was ready to go, I'd get in my car and drive to work, taking me about 20 minutes. The longer I lived in Vegas, I will say traffic got worse and worse. I know a lot of people started moving there because of the economy and taxes are just how no one can afford anything anymore. Okay, my ramble's over. But this is kind of when I would turn my tunes up and jam, pump myself up, you know? Gotta perform, gotta fly in front of a lot of people. That was me driving. Vegas drivers are terrible, by the way. So I would go to guest parking at Mirage, walk through the casino, which I do have to say was always an experience or kind of like a thing, you know? I'd walk through someone with just a cloud of smoke, like, not what I want to be walking through on my way to do acrobatics. Next to the entrance of the theater, there was a side door that was our entrance, and it led to the backstage area. VIP. I'd go in, sign in. Everyone had to sign in so that by call time they knew if any artists were missing or there were problems, etc. Go into my dressing room, dump my bags down, and then start pre-show rituals. The order of the next couple things could change, give or take, depending on what I needed and what physio wanted me to do, but we did have a full PT physio department right with us. Each Cirque du Soleil show has their own physio team to treat all of the artists, because you could imagine, 10 shows a week, we're totally not in pain. No injuries. What are you talking about? So much pain, so many injuries. You would sign up for physio appointments the day before. I believe we had an app and online so you could kind of find slots to get worked on if something hurts. Or if you had an injury and you were working on a plan to kind of heal that with physio, they would require you to sign up for so many times in the week. Treatments were anywhere from massage therapy, scraping, dry needling, cupping, what are those called again? Electrostimulators. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, they're great. Ice, taping, you name it. Personally, my go-to treatment was dry needling. Yeah, I got used to it real fast. It was really intense. One time they had to needle my pec and just get in there with a needle just back and forth in my pec, and I thought I was gonna throw up. Gonna pass out and throw up at the same time, just bleh. But because my costume personally had kind of a tank top style, they didn't want to cut me because they didn't want bruises on my back. They also might go into the training room, which yes, we had a giant training room that had all the rigging set up, full weights, everything, you name it. And if you're recovering from an injury or trying to strengthen something to prevent further injuries, they might take you in there and put you on a workout plan as well. On top of having a physio team, we also had a strength and conditioning coach that would come 2 to 3 times a week. You could sign up for sessions with them as well, and they would kind of get you on a plan to reach your personal goals or reach goals that would then help you and support you in your acts on stage. All we do is just go and get treatment and work out. I'm not joking. Also in the training room, you could sign up for points. The points are where we would hang our aerial equipment. So you could go in if there was a trick you wanted to improve in the show, or a lot of people just had their own acts that they would come in and work on. I would go in early sometimes and hang my straps, warm up, condition, and then kind of kind of do my fun, fancy stuff that I don't do in the show. When I first started at Cirque, my coach did have me come in a couple times a week before, and I had appointments with him where we would hang the straps and we would work on some tricks. So we kind of like had the skeleton of my act, and that's what I started with. And over the first few months, we added tricks as I went and got more comfortable, just to kind of build that stamina. And I personally love that time. I absolutely adored my coach, and I loved working on new tricks with him. The training room was one of my favorite places because no matter what you're there to do, whether you're just sometimes lying on the floor because you're so tired, guilty, or doing weight training, act trainings, whatever, it was such a busy place. Like, it's kind of where we would all see each other to start the day. Hey, what's up? Hey, what's up? And, joke, mess around. And it was cool to see everyone working on their individual things and seeing us as a team, like what we would produce. Throughout the week, you might get scheduled for on-stage trainings, and those were, of course, mandatory. They could range from blocking something because there's a new artist in, so we got to make sure they know their place on stage. There might be a run of the electrical equipment or a stage manager's first time calling something and we have to run through it for them. After darks, our darks were our vacation time. So that was, we got about 4 weeks off per year. And after that time, we would come in on the first day and every single person or their act would have an allotted time on stage to run the act or kind of do what they need to do to get back in the feel of being on stage and make sure, the equipment's running safely too. If it was the first day back in the week, so say it's a Thursday, start of the week, Monday for us, we would have something called Tapis Rouge. Almost every Cirque du Soleil show has this at the beginning of their week, or if it's a touring show, I think they do it at the beginning of a new city. But this is basically our company meeting. It's where our manager could come in, physio comes in, artistic director comes in, and the whole cast is sitting there. This is just so we could all get on the same page of a rundown of anything that's new, what's going on that week, are there any VIPs or celebrities coming to visit that week, etc. Next up on my agenda, makeup and hair time. Most people in my show wore wigs. I honestly was kind of jealous of them and I should have, but they asked me if I was up to dyeing my hair for the show, so they made me very red, like red. And then about halfway through my contract, they put extensions in. But it was kind of cool because I got my hair done every 6 weeks at the salon for free. Can't beat that. But I would have to curl it every single night, and that damaged my hair so much. Now, a lot of people ask me if someone did our makeup at Cirque du Soleil, and the answer is no, we did it ourselves. When you first get hired in, you do have kind of these like classes you have to go to. You have a very specific template and design that you have to follow for your character. And you're given an entire set of makeup, brushes, pencils, foundations, sponges, eyelashes, you name it, which also it was all like really nice, like MAC and stuff. But you would go in. The first time I did my makeup lesson, I think the makeup artist did it for me step by step, and they kind of explain what they're doing it. Then the second time you do like halvesies, like I think he did half my face and I did half my face, and yeah, looked like a Picasso. And then the last time I did the whole thing myself, and they kind of critique you as you go. I will say there are a million steps. Like most Cirque du Soleil shows have these like crazy makeup done. My makeup was pretty basic. It was like pretty blue eyeshadow, red lips, and big eyelashes because I was a girl. But even still, there were so many steps to layering the depths and colors and highlights and shadows. This is total confessions time since I don't work there anymore. We all skipped steps by the end, and what used to take you an hour, like I could do in 10 minutes if I was really in a rush. Shh, don't tell. You can't tell. You can't see it. It's blue eyeshadow. Just it. But it would be like the difference of layering wet crayon and then topping it off with powder blue and then blending that really nicely. And But I did love my time in the dressing room. On my side, you really get to know your dressing room side and your neighbors really well. I sat next to one of my best friends and it was just the highlight of my day. So as we're every single day doing the same makeup routine over and over and over, it's also girl chat time. So that was like a fun way to get to know what's going on in people's lives or just tell stupid stories. Literally sometimes have like the dirtiest conversations. I'm just being honest. Yeah. You think the boys' dressing room is bad? Oh no. Come into a girl's dressing room on the theater any day. We're horrible. As we progress in getting ready more and more, it gets closer to showtime. So starting at the 30 minutes till showtime, the production manager over the PA system will start calling that 30 minutes to show, 15 minutes to show, 10 minutes to show, prologue artist places. So at 10 minutes, they would call prologue artist. That's the first opening act of the show. Everyone that is part of that had to be set and ready at 10 minutes. I was part of that. I did a small, what we call queue. A queue is what you would do kind of like a walk on stage, fly in, fly out, casual fly in, fly out, but it's not your main act. So I did have a queue opening the show where we were nurses. There were a lot of nurses in our show, and I was hooked up to a cable and flown up out of the basement and out to, we called them garages on the side, up in the side where we could fly in and out of. Yeah, fun. So I always had to be in the basement dressed and ready at that 10-minute call. So I'm at places for my first cue. The show starts. We're screwing around down in the basement. I'm the kind of performer, there's some that have to get really in the zone, and I totally respect that. I'm someone that doesn't like to stress myself out too much, so I like to crack jokes and make fun backstage, and honestly, a lot of artists are like that. You know, we know what we're doing so well that we can literally be like, and then go balance on one hand. It's the circus. So I would fly from the basement into a side garage, and then in the garage, I actually had a quick change preset by costumers. So I would change into my main character's costume, do another cue where I would fly in, hand a boy a guitar, and fly out. Oh, so magical. It used to just be like a wrist hang. There's something called a hand loop that I would hang by, and that's about a 1 to 2 minute dead hang on my wrist. I ended up getting nerve damage in my wrist because of it. Yeah, fun. After that, in the show, I had a big gap. So that's when I would go to the training room and kind of start moving my body a little more and warming up for my actual act. Sometimes I would just lay down, though. Look, sometimes I was just really tired. So sometimes you gotta just lay there. I would go out for my next cue, which again was another nurse cue. Then I would get back into my main character's costume. My main character was Julia, by the way. It was John Lennon's mother. My next cue was standing on top of a car that was driven slowly across the stage while I balanced and looked pretty. Out of everything I did in the show, that was the most terrifying thing, because you remember Ghost Ride the Whip? Ghost Ride the Whip. That's basically what I was doing, yeah. After that, this was always the exact clockwork place in the show that I would pee. It was kind of like my last chance to pee before my big act. I'd go pee, make sure I look pretty, go back to the training room, and then this is where I would really hone in on my workout for my straps act. A lot of times I would actually hang my straps and do a couple dynamic swings to get my shoulders ready for this big movement. I did a TheraBand warm-up every single show to make sure my rotator cuffs were nice and warm and healthy. Then the cue in the show for me to go up to the grid. I would go over to the elevator, press number 6. That's right, I'm going up to 6 to fly in. That was the grid above the stage. I'd have about a song's length to just chill up there with the riggers and stretch and do my thing. Then they would preset my straps. I'd climb in, my song would start, and I would fly in from 60 feet in the air. I know. The first time, honestly, I did it, I was like shaking and pooping myself. Even as an aerialist, I don't think I've ever performed at that height before. So you get used to it. It's funny how quickly something is so scary. And then before I knew it, I'd be flying around being like, oh, what do I want to eat after this? Dude, like I said, you just get used to it. No, I was always very present. I loved my act. It was a very dynamic, intense. If you've never seen the show, my act is a death scene. My whole act is dying. Yeah, I'm really good at it. Drama. I do have my final performance of this act posted here on my channel, so if you want to check that out after the video, be my guest. When my act was finished, I'd be flown up back into the grid very dramatically, very dead. And then I would walk over to the elevator, come down, get ready to go back on stage for the finale of the show, take my final bow, and run off. Go into the dressing room, we'd all undress, costumes would go into the hamper. We normally had multiple sets of every costume so that you never wore the same one twice, and it was always constantly laundered. Thank God, because ew. From there, I'd go over to one of our break rooms that had a giant refrigerator in it, get out whatever dinner I brought, heat it up, and sit in the hall and eat my dinner crisscross applesauce like a child. There was a few times I tried doing like the stay active in between shows or workout. A lot of people do that as well. They don't like to stop, which I respect that, but I kind of found that it gassed me out. And then by the time the second show came, I was really tired. So I liked to take the in-between time to eat, rest. If I had to go to physio and get something fixed, I would. Fixed. I'm all help sometimes. Now, a slight difference to that might be if after the first show there was a VIP guest watching, we would all stay in costume, go into the training room, and then that celebrity VIP guest would come in. We'd all be like, yay, you're a celebrity. And they'd be like, yay, you're circus artists. And then we would take a group photo. Some of us would sneak in our own cameras and be like, can we have a selfie? I met some really incredible people. Steven Tyler, Steve Perry, Steve Buscemi, Owen Wilson, the Backstreet Boys. The coolest celebrity, though, that came and the most surreal thing that happened to me was when Paul McCartney and his family came. I remember getting ready for my act, about to fly in, and I was like, oh my God, I'm entertaining Paul McCartney. He's relaxing, and I am going to entertain Sir Paul McCartney to his music. Talk about stressful little. Yeah, I didn't get really nervous a lot, but that time I remember having that pre-butterfly jitter that night. He came in, he was the nicest human. We unfortunately couldn't get individual selfies because they were very strict on, keeping the family safe, which I respect. But we did get an awesome group photo here, and he shook my hand. I mean, come on, I shook a Beatles hand. I got to meet Sir Paul McCartney. Our break in between shows was 1 hour, and then you guessed it, at that 30-minute mark, you start getting the 30 minutes to showtime. Our second show would start at 9:30. I know, way too late for acrobatics. So I would say around 9, I would start getting dressed again, recurl my hair if I needed to. We'd all touch up our makeups, make sure we're pretty, and preset and set for second show. Not much to say about second show, except it's exactly everything I already told you. We just do it all over again. There is a full costume department, so they have already preset all the costumes and wigs for everyone's changes that need to be done during the show. Sometimes second show I had more energy, and sometimes second show was kind of like struggle bus for me. It was really dependent on how my week was going, where my energy levels were at. It is hard sustaining 10 shows a week, and they're not all going to be perfect. And as much as you try your hardest every time, sometimes your hardest is here one day and here the next. It's just, we are highly conditioned humans, but that's the thing. We're humans. I have gotten myself to such exhaustion before that, like, every pull-up to get to the next trick in my act felt like the hardest thing I've ever done. And it was like, I'd have to convince myself I was hanging off of a cliff and my life depended on it. Like, I would mentally go there sometimes to be like, you have to do this. And then not to be dramatic, but I remember one time I finished my act and I got up to the grid and I just collapsed and started crying. I was that tired. I wasn't the best at not overexerting myself in the week. It's something I've been working on, and through some major injuries in my life, I've been taught to slow down. Lesson I needed to learn. So fast forward through the second show. That's me flying and dying, by the way. Go back to our dressing room, take off our costumes, throw them into the laundry, and we would all just start ripping our makeup off. Eyelashes off, face makeup remover, whatever we used. Some people liked oil-based, some whatever. I'm not going to get into that. This is not a face skincare product channel. We also had showers there. I sometimes would shower there, but I just really always wanted to get home and shower at home. I love being home. The smart thing to do after 2 big shows like that, and especially after my act, would be to go cool down. I didn't do that for a long time, and I was starting to have these kind of reoccurring injuries and pains, and so physio really pushed me to do that. And so towards the end of my 3 years there, I did start post-show going to the training room, foam rolling, doing certain stretches and whatnot. Then I would walk back through the casino. I hated when it was like a Friday or Saturday night, because right before you hit the guest parking, the nightclub was there, and it would just be all the people. Like, cause say the show finished at 11 p.m. So I'm probably walking out of there by 11:30, and that's prime lineup for club time. It was so much fun to people watch everyone in line to go in with their little dresses, and they're like, I'm gonna get into the club. But oh my gosh, when I'm tired and I want to go home and I just did 2 shows, like, get out of my way. My drive home, I would not normally pump it up like I would on the way there. This is when I would listen to podcasts, audiobooks, or Enya. It's my go-to calm down music. Don't make fun of me. I love Enya. She's like what it's about. When I got home, I definitely tried to keep things very calm. This is when I would shower, get my PJs on. I would make food. I'd still be starving when I'd get home. And then I would watch 1 episode of whatever TV show I was watching. By the time I got home, it was midnight, and it would take so long to decompress. I was pretty routine on home, shower, small meal, 1 episode, go to bed. And I would crash out. 2 a.m. seemed to be kind of like my pretty standard time. If I was really tired, I was in bed by 1 sometimes. And then occasionally, if you had people visiting, you might have done a backstage tour for them, gone out for a drink to visit and whatnot, and then go home. And that's kind of when I would get to bed by 3 or 4. Not a happy camper. I'm not a night owl. Ugh. I need my 8 hours of sleep. And that brings us back to waking up at 10 a.m. I am an 8 hours girl, so 10 was the thing. Well, there you have it. That was my day in the life when I worked for Cirque du Soleil. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you want more content like this, don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you don't miss my next videos. Bye!